Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine.
Okay.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda.
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Zoom. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Narada Muni Bhajavina Vikaramana Kahe. Narada Muni Bhajavina Radhika Ramana Dame. Narada Muni Bhajaya Vina Radhika Ramana Namahe. Muni Bhajaya Vina Radhika Ramana Namahe. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai. 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 Hare Hare Bo. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Guru, Jai Shri Guru. Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada Lada Daine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shilatanga nakalaye. Ito nishinga parato nishinga. Yato yato yamitato nishinga. Bahe nishinga hidaye nishinga. Narasingha Madhim Sharanam Prapade. Avakara Kamalavare Naka Abhuta Singha Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Keshavadrita Narahare Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam. Jaya Nashinga Dev, Jaya Nashinga Dev, Jaya Nashinga Dev, Jaya Nashinga Dev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Nrsingadev Bhagavan ki, Bhakta Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna, and greetings to all the devotees who have joined us today via Zoom and YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the Artik and Kirtan for the Lord. We're here at our virtual Sunday Feast program. As the COVID pandemic continues, we are forced in many ways to be separated, but we can join through this medium of the internet. We actually have some devotees here that were participating in helping cook the Sunday feast and prepare the distribution of it tonight that are here in the temple room as well. They'll be listening to the class. Tonight we have our very own Vishnu Guru Prabhu, who will be speaking to us on the Bhagavad Gita. All of you know Vishnu Guru Prabhu that are joining this call. But I do want to say a couple of things about him, specifically as it relates to the Sunday program that we do. Very enthusiastically, Vishnu Guru Prabhu every week, without fail, arranges for, many times personally cooks for their lordships and prepares the distribution of the prasadam. When we started out back in, actually we started out when we did the festivals for Ram Nomi and for Nrsingadev's appearance day. And then once we opened up, it became something we did every week. And that was due to his encouragement and inspiration. And today we started off maybe 30, 40 people would come. And today we're consistently over 100 devotees come. People come and pick it up for Prasadam every week. So this is a wonderful service that he's performing, and one of many things that he does so nicely. Today he's going to speak to us from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Before we do that, every week we do a quick darshan of their lordships. In case you didn't join us when we first tuned in at 4 o'clock when we showed the darshan, we'll give everybody a quick look. His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shishi Gaur Nitai Ki. Now here we have a special painting of Narada Muni. It's being dedicated today. It was drawn by, please tell me your name. Ragini. She is the devotee that comes here. Nice young lady. She plays the flute as well during the kirtan. A beautiful picture of Narada Muni that will be hung here in the temple room. I mean, within the temple building. We have Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra. Ki Jai. And their most beautiful lordships, Shishi Radha Sharad Bihari. Shishi Radha Sharad Bihari Ki. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Vishnu Gada Prabhu in just a second. Because we're in the temple room, we have a couple different devices that we're working off of, so there'll be a small gap for you listening at home. It'll just be hopefully less than 30 seconds. Hare Krishna.
I think the small table. Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajak Acharya Ashtotara Shata Shishimara's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Ganga Devi, Jamuna Devi, Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi ki jai. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravane Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharini. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna. We're going to be reading and concentrating on verse from the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 25th verse, 725. If you want to follow along. I don't know if anyone out there in Zoom land can also chant. We'll see. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavrita mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mam ajam avyayam naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavrita mudhojam nabhijanati loko mamajam avyayam naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavrita mudhojam nabhijanati mamajam mamajam avyayam loko mamajam avyayam. Anyone here like to chant? Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajam avyayam. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mam ajam avyayam. I don't know if anybody on Zoom can chant. Is that possible? Can we hear? I don't know.
नाहं प्रकाश सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृता मूढोऽयं न विजानाति लोकामाम् अजम् अव्ययम्.
Oh, very good, very good. Anyone else like to chant? Thank you, Mother Sudevi. No? Okay. Na, nor, aham, I, prakasha, manifest, sarvasya, to everyone, yoga maya, by internal potency, samavrita, covered, mudha, foolish, ayam, these, na, not, abhijanati, can understand, loka, persons, mam, me, ajam, unborn, avyayam, inexhaustible. Translation: I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It may be argued that since Krishna was visible to everyone when he was present on this earth, how can it be said that he is not manifest to everyone? But actually, he was not manifest to everyone. When Krishna was present, there were only a few people who could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the assembly of Kurus, when Shishupal spoke against Krishna's being elected president of the assembly, Bhishma supported him and proclaimed him to be the supreme God. Similarly, the Pandavas and a few others knew that he was the supreme, but not everyone. He was not revealed to the non-devotees and the common man. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that but for his pure devotees, all men consider him to be like themselves. He was manifest only to his devotees as the reservoir of all pleasure. But to others, to unintelligent non-devotees, he was covered by his internal potency. In the prayers of Kunti in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:8-19, it is said that the Lord is covered by the curtain of Yoga Maya, and thus ordinary people cannot understand him. This Yoga Maya curtain is also confirmed in the Ishopanishad mantra, in which the devotee prays, Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham Tattvam Pushana Pavrenu Satya Dharmaya Dvishtaye. Oh, my Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe, and devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. Therefore, I pray that you will also maintain me. Your transcendental form is covered by the Yoga Maya. This Brahma Jyoti is covering of the internal potency. May you kindly remove this glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing your Satchidananda Vigraha, your eternal form of bliss and knowledge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in his transcendental form of bliss and knowledge is covered by the internal potency of Brahma Jyoti, and the less intelligent persons cannot supreme on this account. Also, in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14, there is this by Brahma, you know Brahma. O Supreme Soul, O Master of all mystery, who can calculate your potency and pastimes world? You are always expanding your internal potency, and therefore no one can understand you. Learned scientists and learned scholars can examine the constitution of the material world or even the planets, but still they are unable to calculate, although you are present before them. The Supreme Personality, Lord Krishna, is not only unborn, but also avyaya, inexhaustible. And knowledge and his energies are all inexhaustible. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Did you catch the verse? Did you catch the verse? No. I'll read it again then. I am never manifested. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn. And this verse indicates that not everyone can understand God, even though he is present everywhere. As in our ordinary experience, if one wants to meet personally with a head of state, have you ever met with a head of? Not so far, okay. Bodyguards and surrounded by Secret Service agents, right? And one must go through a vetting process, isn't it? Why a vetting process? Their credentials are verified, and there will be care to make sure that the person meeting this head of state is suitable and not some kind of saboteur, right? Or enemy or terrorist or something like that. Plus, there will ordinarily need to be some kind of agreement about a worthwhile purpose of the meeting. Right? Much more so for the supreme head of all states, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, God, Lord Krishna. So he says in this verse that he reserves the right not to show himself to anyone and everyone who might make the demand to show me God. God is not obliged to respond to the beck and call of any random person to show himself at their whim in order to prove his own existence. Follow. Especially the existence for such an insignificant person. You know who Yuri Gagarin is? Yuri Gagarin. Yeah, very good. Yuri Gagarin. He was the first, at least what we think is the first human being to orbit in space. He went aboard the Vostok 1, which is the name of the spacecraft, the Soviet spacecraft. And he went into orbit for 1 hour and 48 minutes. 1 hour and 48 minutes. And when he came back, at least according to Khrushchev, who was the premier of Soviet Union at the time, they asked him, "Did you see God while you're up there in the heavens?" And he said, "No, I didn't see God. Therefore, there is no God." Huh? True story. Yeah, there's no God. Because he didn't see God in that 1 hour and 48 minutes, he concluded that God doesn't exist. But why didn't he see God? That's explained in this verse. It's explained in this verse. Similarly, there's a philosopher and Nobel Peace Prize winner by the name of Bertrand Russell, British, who was asked hypothetically, if at the time of your death, you go to the pearly gates and you're standing there in front of God, and God says to you, asks you, "Why didn't you believe in me in your life? Didn't you believe in me during your life?" So Bertrand Russell's answer was, "Well, I didn't have any evidence. I didn't have any evidence. That means I didn't see you in my hour and 48 minutes. There's a humorous story about a man who's coming home at night. He's driving home at night in his car. He parks in his driveway, and then as he gets out of his car, he loses his keys in the dark. He's searching for the keys and searching for the keys for a long time. His wife looks out the window and sees him there looking. So she comes out and she says, "What's going on? What are you out here doing? Why don't you come inside?" He says, "Well, I lost my keys." She said, "Where did you lose them?" "I lost them in the driveway." Then she says, "Well, why are you looking? If you lost them in the driveway, why are you looking for them under the street light?" He says, "Well, because I can see here, I can't see over there." So he didn't look in the right place, or he used the right way to find what he was searching for. Does God exist? Very important question. The answer to which it has consequences to each and every one of our lives. And if someone says, "What is your evidence of God's existence? Is there any?" Well, there are different kinds of evidence, but like the man, you have to look in the right place, in the right way. Then you can understand. There are many phenomena we accept as real, even though we may not directly see them. For example, on a cloudy day, the sun is not visible. Still, we believe, we have faith that the sun is in the sky. Why is that? Because it's daytime. There's light. Yeah. Even though we don't see the sun, there's light in the sky. We cannot, but here in this room, there are lots of radio waves going through this room, although we can't see them. But the radio waves can be experienced. How? If we have, we can hear it through a proper receiving instrument. Then we can understand, we can experience them directly, right? No one has seen an atom. We've seen drawings of atoms, but the microscope is not powerful enough to see the actual atom. But why do we accept their existence? Because of their associated properties and symptoms. And even though most of us cannot follow the mathematical evidence that physicists use to establish their existence, there are a lot of formulas. Maybe you can, I don't care. We accept that there are atoms because what we can follow seems like it's reasonable, makes sense, and that we trust that there's a consensus among those who have taken the trouble to verify the calculations. So we accept their existence. So just like we accept this acceptance of the sun, the existence of the sun on a cloudy day, radio waves and atoms by related symptoms, inference from what we can experience, like the radio waves, and authority. Okay. Researchers often strive to date the antiquity of the existence of human beings through radiocarbon dating, or civilized human beings, radiocarbon dating of cave paintings. Have you ever seen a cave painting? Where'd you see the cave painting? Oh, yeah. Okay. Usually, what are the paintings of? Most of the time, I don't know about Argentina, but most of the time they're about animals like reindeer or bison, sometimes cows. And sometimes they're in one color, monochrome, and sometimes multiple colors. But no one living has seen the artist doing the cave paintings, right? But still, we accept that there was some intelligent being, human being, that made them. Why? Because of the complexity of the art. It's not just going to happen by some drips from the top of the cave. It's a complex thing. We infer the presence of ancient humans by their artistic product. Similarly, if you travel to Stonehenge, have you gone to Stonehenge? No? Stonehenge. What is Stonehenge? In Great Britain, it's like 75 miles, in case you want to go, 75 miles southwest of London. There's a ring of huge stone slabs, each weighing 25 tons. That's a lot, right? How many pounds is that? 50,000 pounds. 50,000 pounds, yeah. Upright in the earth, and that appear to be located in their positions in order to track the movement of the sun. Although the stones were apparently placed there thousands of years ago, it's generally accepted that they were put in place by intelligent beings, by the dint of their unique and special order and arrangement. But no one today saw them being placed there. It's been inferred. We are living on an Earth planet that's said to be 93 million miles about from the sun. Yeah. And we're told that if the Earth planet were just a little closer to the sun, we'd all be scorched. And a little bit away from the sun, we'd be frozen. What intelligence made that arrangement just right? In the modern environmental movement, there's something they're planning to develop called symbiotic factories. Have you ever heard of symbiotic factories? Symbiotic, because this is for to preserve the environment. The idea is to have two factories close to each other, and the raw material of one factory that it uses to produce its goods is the waste material from the other factory. You follow? So this factory uses things that produces some waste material, and then the second factory uses the waste material. So in that way, things are conserved, and there's not waste or a problem with pollution, or less problem with pollution. So this is an ideal in human society that environmentalists are thinking this is a really good idea, although it's not been achieved. Nobody does achieve it. But if you think about it, here, human beings, we breathe in oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, and the plants take in carbon dioxide and through photosynthesis give off oxygen. That's the perfect symbiotic factories. So where's the intelligence that made this arrangement? Yeah. Back in the time of Darwin, Darwin has his theory of evolution. And there's two parts of the theory of evolution. You know the two parts? Main parts. I mean, there's probably a lot of parts. Part one is that life, even some cell animals, by a common part one. And part two is that the varieties of different species came about by natural selection of the species. So there's two parts. So one of the things to know about, the early days, and back in the, he was there doing his study in the middle 1800s, was during his period, the microscopes weren't very developed. So if you look at a simple one-celled animal like an amoeba or a paramecium, with those microscopes, they look just like little plastic bags with some fluid in it. Little plastic bags with fluid and just maybe a little spot, which is the nucleus, but pretty simple things, right? Pretty simple things. And so you could imagine, if you let your imagination run, that those little plastic bags, some combination by chance, it could happen. It's such a simple thing, plastic bag with some fluid in it, right? But as, perceptions and scientific advancement progressed, inside each one-celled animal, today we recognize there's incredible complexity there that, with mitochondria and DNA, RNA, all these different, so many different things, it's said that even one cell animal, one cell, amoeba, paramecium, not being like a plastic bag, but it's more complex than a computer. The interactions of the different elements and the chemical reactions that take place, very complex. And we're not talking about a human being. We're talking about those one-celled animals, more complex than a computer. So where is the intelligence that puts that together? You can take a big drum and put in it some rocks and some water and put an electric charge in it and turn it around a long time, maybe some gas put in there. How long will it take you to come up with a computer? You think it will happen? You think it will happen? Just turn it around for years and years? No. Because we know that there's intelligence there. There's intelligence that would do that. So if we infer the existence of ancient intelligent beings on the basis of cave paintings, stone blocks, even though we haven't actually seen those beings, we could also infer the existence of a more complete intelligence or God on the basis of the incredible complexity of life, even in simple life forms, and symbiotic factories in nature. You follow? Yeah. So what about seeing God, though? People say we want to see God. Oh, well, the Vedic literature describes that there's three kinds of evidence. Do you know this? Three kinds of evidence. Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means senses. Aksha's eyes, right? Aksha's eyes. Another name for Krishna, Govinda, is Adhokshaja. Have you heard this name? Adhokshaja. Aksha means eyes. Ja means born from the eyes. Adhoksha, he can't be born. It's not, your perception of him can't come from just like that, from these eyes. So anyway, pratyaksha, three things. Pratyaksha, anumana means by deduction from symptoms, from just like we were talking about deduction from symptoms and stuff. And the third one is called Shabda Brahma. Shabda Brahma. Shabda Brahma means hearing, or hearing from an authority. And of the three kinds of evidence, the Vedas say that Shabda Brahma is the best of the three. Isn't that interesting? So, we were talking about we were trying to infer the existence of God from certain things we see. But even if we accept, okay, yes, it seems that these creations are coming from an intelligent being, how much more do we understand about that intelligent being? what does this being look like? What are his qualities, his or her qualities? What does he do? Huh? These kinds of things we're not going to get from inferring or anumana. We're getting the best information we can get is from Shabda Brahma. Shabda Brahma. So the Vedas say that if we really want to know the full reality and truth of the Supreme Being, as much as it is possible for us to know, for us limited beings to know, the best and most effective way is to use the method that the Lord himself prescribes. That method that the Lord himself prescribes is hearing from an authority, a transcendental authority. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita. Evam parampara praptam imam raja shyo vidu. I learned, you can learn this science of yoga in the disciplic succession. And that's the way it's understood. And because you, Arjun, are my devotee, you can understand it. So the Bhagavad Gita 1864, and the best and most effective way to understand God is to adopt the process that he himself recommends. So for example, now we have, people are wearing masks, of course. It's hard to speak with a mask on. But anyway, so say that, many establishments now, you can't go in to the establishment unless you have a mask on, isn't it? And what happens if you go there without your mask? Well, there's out there, you've seen maybe some video clips online of people who they say, it's a free country, right? Haven't you seen those? And they throw a tantrum and stuff like that. Most of the time, they're still not let in. Why is that? Because it's up to the establishment. They can determine their rules and their requirements, their qualifications for the person they want to enter. Similarly, Lord Krishna can establish his criteria, his qualifications, if you want to enter his understanding. And what is that qualification? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Naham Veda, na tapasa, na danena, na chejaya. It's not by study of the Vedas, not by austerity, not by giving in charity, and not by worship. It's not by these means that you can understand me. Bhaktya, you know this verse, 1154. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya ahamevam vidorjuna. It's only by rendering devotional service. It's only by rendering devotional service without any other thing. Pure devotional service, ananyaya shakya, aham vedam. In that way you can know me, Vedam Arjuna. Drashtum, gyatum, drashtum, tatatvena. Gyatum means you can know me. Drashtum means you can see me. You can see me. Chatatvena, in truth. Gyatum, drashtum, tatatvena. In truth, you can see me. Praveshtam, chatparantam. And you can enter into my abode, my understanding, and my place. This is pretty. So if we want to see God, the best way is to accept his method, which is bhakti yoga, devotional service, that begins with hearing about him regularly. Bhakti yoga begins with shravanam and kirtanam, hearing and chanting. Hearing and chanting. That's called hearing and chanting regularly, doing it daily is called sadhana. And sadhana means regular practice of bhakti yoga. And sadhan is not sudden. Do you follow? Sadhan is not sudden. It takes some time. Because our senses, our mind, our intelligence is perverted. It's impure. With these eyes, it will not be possible to see God. But you can see God. How? You have to have eyes that are anointed with devotion. and love. Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena santas sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. The sages, the saints, they're always seeing God in their heart of hearts by the salve of devotion, with their eyes tinged with the salve of devotion, with the salve of love. Like that. So we can become purified by taking the process of bhakti yoga, and not with these eyes, but with the eyes tinged with the salve of love, then we can actually see and understand him. So there was a scientist by the name of Max Planck. Have you heard of him? Max Planck, you know. He was the guy who came up with quantum physics. Quantum physics. So he said, in religion, what's the difference between science and religion? In religion, you start with God. But in science, there's all this different, research and experimented. You end with God. That's the difference. And actually, Krishna says the same thing in Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavam mam prapadyate. After many, many births and deaths of trying to understand and get knowledge, those who actually have knowledge, jnanavam mam prapadyate, they surrender it to me. So for science, ends with God. So this is Krishna's recommendation. How do we see him? How can we understand him? He says, this is the most, I'm going to tell you the most confidential information of all kind of religion. Then he says, Manmana, always think of me. Bhava mad bhakto, become my devotee. Madhyaji, mam namaskuru, always surrender, madhyaji, worship me and offer obeisances to me. Mam evaisisi satyam te, you will come to me, in truth, satyam te, pratijani priyosibi, I promise you this, I promise you this. So this is the method that's recommended in Bhagavad Gita. This is the method that authorities like Krishna, the supreme authority, and Srila Prabhupada, those who follow in the footsteps of Krishna and the acharyas, teach the same thing. So the best method to get in touch and see God is to engage in his service. And the easiest way to engage in his service is hearing and chanting, particularly the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra as recommended by Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
In this verse, I'm just pulling it up real quick. So Krishna says that I am covered by my internal potency.
Yes.
So can you explain that a little bit? Because I would assume that it would be external potency that's covering people's ability to see. Maybe a little bit of the difference between the internal and the external and how that covers.
Well, for like the cloud is the product of the sun, but it covers the sun. So similarly, Krishna's internal potency, for Krishna, everything is his own potency. Everything is his own potency. So for him, it's his potency. For us, it'll appear external. Other questions? Good question. Mother Sudevi, you're supposed to have a question. We'll see if you can. No. Okay. Oh, here's one. Here, what maybe?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Good question.
So you talked about in class to see, you can't see Krishna, that people ask, can you show me God? But you can by devotional service, not only see, but how you get connected. So Prabhupada would sometimes say, You asked to see Krishna. Do you have the eyes to see Krishna? And you explained very nicely, Premanjana Turita Bhakti Vilochanena. But if someone really would say, no, I have to see, and what's the proof? What would you say?
Well, we started, like I said, in order to see, just to see, if you wanted to walk up to the White House and say, I want to see the president, what will they do? They put a fence around there just to keep those people kind of out. Because you have to have qualification. You have to have qualification. You can't just go. And it's up to the president to make those qualifications, or like I gave the example of the map. Able to see unless you fulfill the qualification. Krishna makes that stipulation, but once in a while there's a exception. That's generally how it is. There's a story of she was carrying all this wash on her back, washing, and dropped it off her back, and she goes, Krishna! And so Krishna appeared. He can do what he likes. I mean, usually it's to follow sadhana, and but she said, Krishna. She knew that Krishna appeared, and he said, what? She said, well, can you put the wash back on me? Yeah, so that happens. Generally speaking, you can't see God. If you, like we were saying, you can see God. You see God in the nature, just like you saw those ancient cavemen in their. You can see God in the complexity of nature. So sometimes also Krishna says, Rasoham apsukonteya, I'm the taste of water. Prabhasmi, light of the sun and the moon. Jiva of all that lives. Tapastasmi tapashvishu, I'm the penances of ascetics. So one can recommend that to certain thing you were thinking of what to say.
You mentioned that sadhana is not sadhana.
Sadhana, yeah.
The word sadhana, but you're another Sanskrit term.
Oh,
Not
okay.
sadhana. So you perform this, sadhana to get, to be able to, purify our existence, not be contaminated by the material elements. What are some of the things that we can see happening in our lives to know that sadhana is working?
Two things. Brahmabhuta Prasanatma. So I don't know. I don't know if they can hear that. So the question was, how can we see that our sadhana is working? So one thing you see is Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmabhuta Prasanatma, Sochati Nikakshati. Yeah. So that we're not always in anxiety. In the material world, there's always some anxiety going on. What don't I have? What I wanted, what I have. But by our progress in Krishna consciousness, that becomes we become more happy, blissful, and our attachment or interest in material activities becomes less. Step by step. That happens. Mother Golokananda Priya might say something. Oh. those two things happen. There's so many things in the material world that we have attachments for, but if we get a taste for Krishna service, doing something to please Krishna, and that it actually does give a different kind of satisfaction, and that satisfaction displaces those other things. It does.
Did you hear me, Prabhu?
I do. Just go looking on the people.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
thinking
Mother
Krishna
Gopal.
saying the taste of water is the ice. When you see the sun, you see the eyes of Krishna. You see Krishna's hand everywhere. But normally, most of us, we don't remember Krishna this way all the time.
Yes. So it's good. I mean, Krishna is there everywhere. Krishna, he's the source of the sun, the light of the sun and the moon, all this stuff. And it's good to remind ourselves that. Like in devotees also, you know, you can chant Gayatri mantra morning, noon, evening as the sun is traveling from sunrise to sunset. And there's a meditation about Krishna as the source of the light of the sun. It's good. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishnu. Good afternoon.
People- Yeah.
Not much today.
Not too many announcements?
Hare Krishna, everyone. I'd like to thank Vishnu Prabhu for enlightening us on the transcendental message of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. If we were all together, we would clap. So, Haribo. Thank you, Vishnu Prabhu. Just want to let everybody know that Darshan starts at 5:45 tonight and goes until 7:15. There'll be RT at 6:45 and go to 7:15. I just want to mention that a lot of people, now that the weather is getting cooler, more people are coming. They can't be outside as much. We just have to be mindful that the temple room has a limited capacity due to COVID. And so sometimes we're going to have to move people in and out, and just be patient. Just work with the situation. I know sometimes people that come and they want to, they may get disappointed if they can't stay for the whole thing, but sometimes we have guests that come. Let's just all be practical. If we all work together, things should go smoothly. The other thing is, we just want to ask everybody, if they can, please join us in the morning. So we have two programs in the morning. One is a japa program. It starts at 6:30 and goes until 7:50. And then at 7:50 to 8:30, we have Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's all on the same Zoom channel that you're logged into now. Those of you on YouTube, you can get our Zoom link from our newsletter. And the japa, you can join at any time. We start at 6:30. It's great if you can join us then. If not, pick up any time that's comfortable for you. Throughout the week, on Thursday, we have a Srila Prabhupada book study night at 7 o'clock on Thursday evening. Please join us at that time to learn more about the life and activities of ISKCON's founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada. That's it for now. Look forward to seeing you, all those that are going to come to the temple tonight. And those who are not, we'll see you either back here next week or sometime throughout the week at one of our programs. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.